Hello, I'm Mario Toneguzzi, managing editor of Canada's podcast, Taking Care of Business today with Phil Soper, president and CEO of Royal LePage. Thanks for joining us today, Phil.
Pleasure.
Well, you've got a report out today talking about the number of renters that still want to buy a home. And I think it was 25% plus. Looking at that, why? Why do you think in this environment with the rising costs of everything and the rising costs of a home, why are renters still wanting to buy a home?
It is interesting, right? We're about two-third, one-third. Two-thirds of Canadians own, one-third rent. If you look at the renters, they break down into those who are comfortable with lifetime renting and those who are have the aspiration to become owners. And if you break that group down a little further, the younger adults have the greatest aspiration to become owners. And then the middle age group, say in their 40s and early 50s, is it in between. And once you hit mid 50s and you're a renter, you've gotten comfortable in your skin. You realize for whatever reason, where you want to live, your personal economic situation, you're fine with renting. But those young people, it's a 27% overall of renters said in the next 2 years they are going to be looking to buy a home, which is a big number, but it's 40 some percent of the 35 and unders. So they're the ones that are really keen to get into the market, and you know, in the entry level housing, particularly in condominiums, prices have been flat or soft in most parts of the country, so it's not a bad time for them.
So, what's driving that? What is driving I guess, the aspiration of owning a home despite these challenges that we're facing right now?
Part of it is the cost of renting. If you look at
Uh,
rental costs uh, last year, they were up 9%, 8.7, I think exactly, according to StatsCan. Uh, Home prices rose a lot less than that, depending on what part of the country you're in, say anywhere from flat to 2 to 3% up. So rent got much less affordable than purchasing a home. So that's one part. And I think the biggest thing is it's just part of the Canadian dream.
yeah.
People want to own the home they live in, and that hasn't changed. Our parents, our grandparents, even you think the early immigrants, a lot of them left Europe where they had no hope of owning the land they lived on, and came to North America because they were given the opportunity to own a piece of their Canada, a piece of America.
So, when you look across the country, Phil, is it easier in certain parts of the country to become a homeowner these days?
Yeah, much, much easier. Let's take the extreme example. In Vancouver, 25% of renters are spending 50% or more of their income on rent. The national number is 16. So this is clearly related to the underlying cost of property,
Yeah,
the value of the earth on which homes rest. And in Vancouver and Toronto, we have the least affordable rents and the least affordable housing. By contrast, Edmonton in particular, in Alberta, the East Coast, uh, many of the Atlantic Canadian cities, and the prairies are all very affordable.
yeah. So how does one, what kind of advice would you give people that, are renting right now, but do have that dream? right? And what would you tell them and how to get and achieve that dream?
The biggest piece of advice, and I've got kids in their 20s. One owns their home, the second oldest, they're looking right now, and their aspirations for what they want in a house, they're renting a condo now and they want to buy a home. Um, and and I say, just get a toehold in the market. I know you have a vision for what you want for a home, but you're young. Uh, this will take time, and if you look over the long term, homes have appreciated in between 5 and 6% per year on average over many decades. A little bit more than that over this past 10 years. Uh, so if you get into, say, an entry level condominium and you own 20% of that, um, the overall value is going to go up and you get the magic of leverage. I know it's beyond the scope of what we're talking about now, but if you have young potential homeowners watching your podcast, you know, Google the benefit of leverage in appreciating homes, or the benefit of home ownership and leverage. And what it really means is you get the appreciation on the whole value of home, even though you've only paid for the part, a small part of it. And that gives you the ability to move up the ladder over time and find the home you want. So bottom line, you may not get the home you really want at first, but if you get into the market, you avoid that horrible feeling of always trying to chase the market. Because in Canada, we have a shortage of housing, and that's not going to be fixed this
No.
decade. We have more people who need homes than we have homes, and home prices are going to appreciate at a faster rate than people's salaries and incomes in most of our cities. So just get in, even if it's below what you were hoping for to begin with.
All right, wonderful. Thanks, Phil, for joining us today.
My pleasure.
All right, that was Phil Soper, President and CEO of Royal LePage. I'm Mario Toneguzzi, Managing Editor of Canada's podcast, Taking Care of Business Today. Thanks for joining us.